Hi guys, welcome again to my channel. My name is MC. I make videos and blog contents for international students who want to study, settle, and eventually explore the opportunities here in Canada. So in today's video, it's gonna be different because I will have a guest, and my guest is one of my friends in way back in Dubai, and we actually had this our Canadian dream even before when we were in Dubai, and now we're finally here in Canada. And I will have him as a guest. So he studied at Centennial College, and then he worked in Toronto, and then he moved to Nova Scotia, and he's finally applied for his permanent residency. So in this video, he will walk you through his journey, guys. So stay tuned till the end. But before that, I want you guys to hit that subscription button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos every week. And also, I just want to quickly announce that I'm just launching my SLE membership club. It's an exclusive club for all my SLE members. If you guys want to be my SLE members, you just need to subscribe to my channel, or maybe subscribe to my website or in my Facebook page. So I'll have that details in my description box. So in my SLE student lounge, it will be an exclusive resources, video series. It will be in-depth videos. It's not going to be the same videos that I always upload here on YouTube. It will be more in detail. So if you're my SLE babies, then you're lucky because you will have that exclusive access. So I'm doing this, guys, because you showed me a lot of love and support. I always receive messages, warm support from you guys, and likes and comments, like it's crazy. So in return, I'm giving you this SLE student lounge, which is an exclusive lounge for my SLE babies. So now let's move on to our topic, and check the description box because our video for today is gonna be so long, because we went through all his journey from being a student, joining the workforce, and now getting his permanent residency. It's gonna be long, so I'm gonna leave the timestamp in my description box, so if you want to skip something. So now let's move on to our guest. Sir, welcome to my channel.
Hi guys.
Thank you for allowing us to, have some time with you, have some chatting.
Sure, no problem.
So, you know that we have a lot of viewers from around the world, from different countries who are, interested to go here in Canada as international students. So, in this interview, I'm gonna ask you some questions about yourself. What did you do before, and then what are you doing right now here in Canada, and what's your plan, right? So first, tell me about yourself, so they would get some of your information.
Hi guys, I'm Kim. I'm 27 years old and I'm from the Philippines, and I'm currently living here in Halifax, east coast of Canada. And before coming here in Canada, I came from the Middle East, 2 or 3 years in Dubai and 2 years in Qatar.
Yeah, so I met Dexter before, right, in Dubai, through a common friend, and actually Dexter is the one who influenced me to
Persuade.
go. No, influenced me to go here, right?
No, I'm the
Remember?
one. No, I'm the one who persuaded you because you wanted to go to Australia, and I'm actually. It's very. I still remember it very vividly that I wanted you to go to Canada.
But tell me more about, like, why did you choose to study? Because you can go here straight as an immigrant, right? Why did you study?
Hmm. Well, as the backstory, when I was in the Philippines, I really wanted to go to Canada. That's my ultimate country to go to. I don't have any American dreams. I don't have the Aussie dream, and I don't have the Kiwi dreams. I only have the maple syrup dreams. So the thing is, when I was in the Philippines, I actually met an agent, PinoyCare, and I actually had a free assessment with them. And on that assessment, profile is just on the minimum score. Although I could actually push through with the application, but it's just on the minimum score. And they actually told me to earn extra points to have leeway in case some of the factors that I actually submitted to gain points won't be given the exact points that we calculated. And so I have two options. It's either I'll go back to school or I'll earn more years of experience.
Yeah.
But then, when I was in the Philippines, I actually finished nursing and I don't want to go to the hospital to work as a nurse. I don't know. I think it's a missed call, not my calling. So, what I did is I decided to actually move to Dubai
Yeah.
because of two reasons. First, there would be a lot of financial requirements for the Canadian application, and I won't be able to save and earn that while I'm in the Philippines. Second is if I would be in the other country, whatever experience that I would be there would be highly regarded compared to your experience in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So and plus the earnings.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, it's like hitting two birds in one stone.
Mm-hmm.
So while I'm in Dubai, I am a loan officer in Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank, so Abu Dhabi Tijari,
ADBC. Mm-hmm.
ADCB,
ADCB.
ADCB,
Yes.
and and luckily it actually is that kind of job is the one who actually uh, bring money to my account, and
So
I was able to
that
travel.
was your master plan. So that you went to Dubai, you went to Qatar, you gain experience, you save money, you gain your
Mhm.
travel history. That was like
Yeah.
a master.
So I actually wasn't very disappointed when the agent told me back in the Philippines that I may not be able to get a positive response if I push my application in PR having a minimum score. So I wasn't really disappointed with that one because if I move to another country, say Singapore or the Middle East, I would actually have more opportunity on first saving, traveling, and gaining international work experience. So that is
Yes,
what I'm
yes.
aiming for.
Yeah.
So when I was there, yeah,
Now that you have like all like you have your experience, you got your you have some money saved. So now what was your turning point to okay, I'm ready to move to Canada? What was your turning
okay.
point?
So it's actually not the turning point, to be honest, because all of us already are decided. Like everyone of you are watching are already decided that oh, I'm gonna go to Canada. The only factor that actually is that would decide
Mm-hmm.
for I mean like the only factor that would actually affirm or nail that would actually be put in the coffin is the finances.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you have the finances, even if tomorrow you can apply right away.
Yeah.
So when I was in Dubai and when I was in Qatar, like my first year or 2 years, I actually have the means to go to Canada. But then I actually love traveling. So when I was there, it's really easy to travel. So it's like 4 hours to Europe, like 8 hours somewhere else. So for me, it's like I can still earn the money. Like I can still earn the money and gain more experience, like more years of experience while still
Mm-hmm.
there. And then when I say that, okay, I think I maximize Middle East. That is one of the turning point. At the same time, I also have the means to spend for studying in Canada. So there's no actually turning point because back when I was still in the Philippines, I've already decided to go to Canada. Just that I need to comply with the requirements. So going back to your question, why I choose to study the student path, it's because my profession in the Philippines is nursing, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be a nurse in Canada. That
Mm-hmm.
is why I wanted to study or gain a
Like
degree in Canada,
refresh again, start over again.
refresh, so that when somebody will be checking onto my what you call this portfolio or my bio data, no, not the bio data, my resume. Sorry, my resume.
By data.
th- yeah, my resume, my educational attainment would not be nursing. There would be something on
Yes.
top of that.
Yeah.
Plus, it's Canadian. it's a Canadian degree. So that is why I pushed through with the study path.
Yeah, and also like you went here through PinoyCare, right? You
Mm-hmm,
had an agency that helped you through
mm-hmm.
all your paperwork, and it went well, right?
Actually, yes, with Pinoy Care, and I was with them. So this is the timeline when I was with them. So 2013, I think 2013 or 2012. Okay, to be safe,
Mm.
2012. I was with them 2012, and imagine I was here in Canada January 2018. So I'm with them from 2012 to 2018.
Yeah.
So my profile with them is active within those years, and they did not actually miss on reminding me every month for the
Mhm.
requirements that I need. Because before I came to Dubai, as per their profile application profiling, I'm just applying for the permanent residency. So they're sending me every month newsletters, updates of what's going on with Canada, what are the requirements that I need. And then when I was in Qatar and I actually just decided to go to school, that is when they shifted my profile from permanent residency to a study permit, and that is when we started um, exchanging emails and exchanging sending requirements online, so
Mhm.
via email. So everything was actually very smooth. I was well taken care of,
So you
and I'm
didn't
pretty
have
much.
any problem like during
So I didn't have
your
any problem at all because um, I could actually attest to that with them they would actually look into your profile as a whole, and they look forward into loopholes into your profile that would they would act as if they are the VO and they were looking for loopholes into your profile. Say, for example, I could see that the VO might be asking this. We need to have something that would support your explanation. So we have a lot of supporting documents, even draw family tree. There's a lot of supporting documents that we actually submitted.
just a quick one. This is not a sponsored video.
Yes, this is not a sponsored video because we're actually eyeing here for a DIY. But if there are people who are actually looking or watching this and still is not confident to do it on your own,
Then you can
then you can
ask or
actually,
seek for guidance,
yeah, you
right?
can actually stick for a professional agent. So in my case, it's Pinoy Care. So I don't know if you have any other agency that you know of, but for me, I'm just speaking in my based on my personal experience with
Experience.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you, Ems, you're actually doing it. You did it on your own, but you have a lot
Yeah.
of
Because I don't want to pay any.
hurdles.
I don't want to pay extra money. You
I mean,
know.
like for me during that time, they don't. I actually signed with them in our contract that there is no refund. So yeah, so I cannot refund what I paid way 2012. So imagine whatever I paid 2012, I carried it all over until 2017
That's
when we
okay
started.
because now you're here, right?
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
worth it. So now that you have decided, okay, I'm gonna go to Canada through student pathway, how did you come up with Centennial College?
Well, actually, I did not come up with Centennial College because my first choice was New Brunswick Community College.
Yes.
During that time when my agent was looking for a school for me, New Brunswick is actually on a wait list programs. So the programs in New Brunswick are on wait list that time. So even you,
Mhm.
Ems, you're actually also eyeing for New
Yeah.
Brunswick. But then I think most of the programs are full, so they actually prioritize the
Canadian
locals.
citizens, yeah,
Mhm.
locals.
And so my agent actually found the school Centennial College for me because it's actually affiliated to them,
Yeah.
and I have no choice. So I said, yeah, let's go, let's grab it. So my program is business foundation, and it started winter, so
It's
January.
just 1 year program, right?
It's a 1 year program. So they actually offered me 2 year program. But then before that, I already have knowledge for Atlantic immigration program. So for
Yeah.
me, I chose 1 year, although it's kind of risky. So for those who are asking if just having 1 year program is enough to get the permanent residency, I would say yes and I would say no, but it depends, but it is risky. It is not
Yes.
impossible, but it's hard and risky. So
But
for
if
me,
you
I got
really, yeah, if you really plan it well, you'll
yes.
get in.
If you actually pattern or you also if you actually have a plan once you come here, it's not impossible, but you really need to strategize.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's
I agree.
the tip there. Strategize. So for me, when I was in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
uh, what I did, I had three jobs.
Yeah, yeah, can you tell me more about part-time jobs?
So
How was your life in Toronto?
well, the Toronto for me, I really don't like mega cities in the first place. So Toronto for me is I can't say it's an organized chaos because basing on the Middle East like Dubai and Qatar, I cannot just say oh Toronto is an organized chaos. It's a chaotic chaos for me. Like
Yeah, if
yeah,
you're going to
even
compare it with Dubai,
with Dubai and
no, you
Qatar,
can't
no,
compare it. Yeah.
you can't compare it. Once I mean like if you actually compare it to Manila or whatnot, maybe almost the same. But the thing is,
Almost the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
like their trains, they always have problems. Like in Manila, like MRT and LRT, it's the same with Toronto.
You say you worked three jobs? Why did you
Yeah,
work
I
three
work three jobs.
jobs?
So okay, going back, the allowable time is 20 hours off campus. A manager in McDonald's, he gave me 20 hours, exact 20 hours in a week
Yes.
in McDonald's. Plus, I have in campus job.
That's 12 hours, right?
That's 12 hours.
Yes.
No, no, that's no, no, not actually 12 hours.
But
It's
you can get
actually
maximum 12 hours.
no. I actually took like almost 20 hours also for in campus.
Oh, so it's
No, no,
okay, so that's fine. If you work more than
that's fine.
12,
So for me, I'm actually a tutor in campus. So usually I have an average of 18 to 20, 18 or yeah, if you actually stretch it, it's 18 hours maximum in a week.
so
And
you
then
save a lot of money. You're not like a typical student that work only 24 hours, 20 hours.
so I have enough money to stay afloat
Yeah, yeah.
because I have my savings back in Qatar that would actually pay the entire year. So
Mm,
whatever I
that
earn
program.
from the
Okay.
20 yeah, so whatever I earned from the 20 hours off campus and from my in campus is the one that I use for my cost of living. So my house, transportation, food, books,
Yeah.
and so I have a lot of tips for you guys that we could actually dig in on as we go along.
Mhm.
So my third job actually is it's like it's like
Don't
ilalim ng
worry,
lamesa.
we're not gonna share that under the
Yeah.
table.
No, this that's actually it's not you cannot actually tell under the table, but it's like a voluntarism, but they will give you a token. Mm.
But you know
It's a
what?
token.
But you know what? Felix told me that under the table, not like under the table, like working in
Cash.
cash,
Cash
it's not
jobs.
it's not prohibited as long as you declare it on your tax. One part in your tax paper. Oh, did you work
Because
cash?
what I actually did on that back then is I'm doing volunteerism, and most of that volunteerism would actually give you a token. Sometimes they would
It's
actually
like
just
a
give you
donation.
GCs. They would sometimes give you GCs or coupons or sometimes cash. So that's why I counted it as three jobs
Okay,
because
so that's not counted then. It's just an extra source of not an income, an extra
not an
source of
income but actually a source
money.
of commodities.
Oh, yeah.
Commodity.
Yeah.
Because
So
if they
you're
would
not
give you
breaking the
GC,
rule.
most of the GCs that I actually receive are grocery gift certificates. So Instead of
Yeah.
me taking out of my wallet to get for to buy groceries, I have coupons.
So
So
how did you do that? Like, did you had to apply, or did how did you?
no, it's actually this is a tip for you guys if you come here in Canada. You need to gain networks.
Yeah,
So
networking. Yeah, that's it.
because I work in campus as a tutor, so I
Mm-hmm.
get to connect with some people. Most of the teachers have connections, and they would say, "Oh, are you free on the weekend? There's this going on, blah blah blah. You can actually volunteer. We can give you gift certificates or blah blah blah, or sponsor you with
Yeah.
this and that." That is actually the key.
I remember when I was in Nova Scotia when I was still studying, I always joined the clubs or any
Yes,
volunteer
clubs.
opportunities because you will meet some
True,
people that could actually help you after school, maybe give you
true.
job opportunities. That's what happened to
I
you.
agree.
That's true. I agree.
That is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So tutoring some students, I'm also talking with them what is their extracurricular activities, and they were saying that I do this sometimes, and we're actually looking for this volunteers because I only do that on a weekend, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. But how's the program in Centennial College? Can you like would you recommend that?
Here in Canada, it's not as strict as back home
Yes,
because
that's
our
true.
professors, our teachers are like strict that they would actually put you on hot seat if you actually did not do your assignments, your reports, blah blah blah. Like let's face it, our minors are acting as the major subjects in the Philippines,
Oh,
and
that's
our
true.
major subjects are not like not that too demanding. Here in Canada, they're actually the one who's going to email you. Uh, like in the Philippines, if the teacher won't will not see you for like a week, they won't pay attention. They will just fail you. Here,
We have an attendance sheet in the Philippines, right? But here they
yeah,
don't. Yeah,
they don't.
they don't
But
have that.
they actually wanted to know what's going on. Like say for example, if they didn't see the student for 2 or 3 days, they would actually send an
Yes.
email, call. In short, here it's like I
They
won't
have
say
that
I wouldn't say spoon feeding, but here the because the ratio of student to
the
teacher
student.
is
Yeah.
not too big compared to the Philippines. Like one teacher is to 50 students. Here, just like 1 to 15 or 1 to 20. The teacher can actually focus on the student. That is
Mm-hmm.
why learning here in Canada is actually very first it's you're earning international degree. Second, you know that you're learning, and not because you're learning because your teacher is there. You're learning because the teacher is focused on your learning. And the third is since you're an international student, you won't want to waste whatever you spend to your
Yeah, that's
education.
almost like a million. And then after school, what did you do? I know that you only have that 1 year program, so you only got 1 year post graduation work permit. So how did you maximize it?
So, going back to what we said, the magic word is to strategize. So, after I finished the program on August, so I came here January 2018, and
Mm-hmm.
the program will only last until August of 2018. But even if it's
Yeah.
just an 8-month program, it will be declared by the school as a 1 year program. So, there are there's actually two documents that they're going to provide after the program is finished. First is the graduation letter, and the second is the uh, transcript of records. So if you're going to take on my route, a 1 year program, if you're going to apply for a postgraduate work permit, use the graduation letter. Do not use the transcript of record because the transcript of record they would just declare the program started January ended at August. If the VO would count it, if they will count it as just 8 months. So sometimes they will just give you 8 months instead of 1 year of
Oh,
postgraduate
okay.
work permit validity. But if you actually give the letter of graduation, a graduation letter, it is stipulated there that uh, student blah 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 finished a 1 year program.
But doesn't say doesn't state
It
any
didn't.
like
It doesn't state
duration.
any. Yes, no duration. It will just say a 1 year program. So they will base your validity of your postgraduate work permit on that graduation letter. So going
So,
back, so
yeah.
going back, when I finished in August, I did not apply for the postgraduate work permit
Yes.
right away because there is 90 days before you apply for your postgraduate work permit.
During our time.
During our time, I
No,
mean, I
during.
think now it's like 180 days now. I don't know,
Yes, during
but
our
during
time.
our time,
Mhm.
it was 90 days. And so, to give you an overview, my study permit is valid only until 2019. So I came here in Canada January 2018. My study permit together with my open work permit is only valid until January 2019.
Yes.
So I studied from January 2018 to August 2018. And then I did not apply for postgraduate work permit. And you would know why.
Mhm.
Because I wanted to maximize the 90 days. Why? Because if you actually apply for the postgraduate work permit the moment you finish your school,
School.
yeah, you won't be able to take advantage with that 90 days because that 90 days, based on the strategy that I have, you would use that to settle down, to look for employers, to save. In my case, I actually still work, but 20 hours because
Yes.
it's still
Mhm.
under the study permit. So I still work at McDonald's for 20 hours a week on that 90 days.
Mhm.
But then I moved to your place in Nova Scotia because before I moved to Toronto, I still wanted to take advantage of the Atlantic immigration program.
Yeah.
So I think on my 80th day, no, not 80th day, 75th day
Yeah,
from the
when.
day that I graduated, I
Mhm.
moved to Nova Scotia and I stayed at your place.
Yeah, I remember you moved around like November,
November. No, no, not November. October
October, and
26th.
then you moved to Halifax, the main city.
Yeah, so October 26th, and then I look for job. Even before I came there, I already submitted application,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also have scheduled for interviews, blah blah blah. So that is part of my strategy. And then lo and behold, I actually got a job uh November 7 in Halifax. So when I started my job, on that day when I started the job, that
That's
the
the
first day
time you.
that my first day at work, the night on that first day, that is when I submitted my postgraduate work permit
Yeah,
application.
same with me.
So the reason is once you submit your postgraduate work permit, it will take around 60 days to process. So therefore, the validity of that postgraduate work permit is until January 2020.
So
So
basically, it's not 1 year if you're going to include the grace period, right?
yeah. So say for example, if I applied on the day after I graduated,
Yeah,
I would have my postgraduate
it
permit
will run.
October. I would have
Yeah,
had my postgraduate work permit October. What if I don't have an employer back then?
yeah, you're
So
wasting your permit basically.
yes, I'm wasting. So what I did, I maximized not maximized, but yeah, I took
The
advantage of the 90
Yeah.
days.
Mhm.
On top of that 90 days, there's
There's
days or
another, yeah,
months for the processing of the postgraduate permit.
which
So
is the implied status. That's the implied
implied
status.
implied status. So I roughly have like 5 months of
Extra.
yeah, extra on top of the months that I studied. So right now, if there's 180 days, imagine you would have like entire 6 months to still save money on your 20 hours a week. I don't
Mhm.
know if people can correct me if you're still allowed to do that to work while you're done with school. I mean, like 20 hours a week.
I
I'm not sure. You can actually look and
Yeah, you
research,
guys
but in
should
my
look.
case,
You should
I
check.
did that. In my case, I did that, and I saved like those 3 months or like 90 days. You can still save some money. It's extra
Mhm.
money.
Mhm.
Travel at the same time. Look for some good places to visit in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you start working, you cannot do that. You cannot explore Canada. It's gonna be
That's true.
once you started working for your permanent residency, it will take you a year or two before you can explore Canada. So while you still have the chance and you still have the means, go and explore.
Once I got my job offer, like the start date, that's the time I apply for my postgrad. Like my
Yeah, because say for example, if you finish your degree on January 31st, and you would say, I'm going to apply like on June for the postgraduate work permit.
oh
What if
no.
But what if your study permit and your open work permit expires on April? Then you need to apply on April
Mm.
before the expiration. Do not follow the 180 days.
Yeah, and also like get a job as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Like
get a job as soon as possible.
so
Canada.
now started working in Nova Scotia. So you moved to Nova Scotia. How do you find Nova Scotia?
Well, I love Nova Scotia.
Yeah,
It's
me
not as
too.
chaotic. It's not as chaotic as Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a community. The cost of living is very affordable.
Mm-hmm.
The city itself is a walking distance, like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, you're already
Yeah.
downtown. So
Yeah.
you don't actually need to
Have a
uh,
car
have a
or
car.
take the
It's not
train.
necessary. It's not necessary to get a car here. There's no train here. There's just buses. So if I were you, if you're going to study in Canada, you would actually take into consideration Nova Scotia because part of what you pay if you actually study here in Halifax, say for example, in any university, part of what you're paying is the public transportation.
Yeah.
So more reason for you not to buy a car.
Mm.
And if you actually won't buy a car, you won't think for gas, insurance, or whatever it is because
Mm.
it's already taken care of. Your transportation.
Yeah, and also if you're staying in Halifax, especially because the bus is every
Mhm.
10 minutes, right? Because
Yep.
people thought that Nova Scotia is just province, like a rural area. They like,
Well, if wherever you come
but they
from,
never been in Nova Scotia, and also they
hey
will.
guys, let's face it. Let's face it. Let's face it. So wherever you came from, whatever is the provinces here or like cities or communities here in Canada, they may be on par or more than what is where you came from.
Mhm,
Like the condition, the safetiness,
mhm.
yeah, the convenience
Yeah,
might be much better than where you came from.
yeah,
So you might actually say, oh, it's not a city, it's just a county, or it's just a town. But once
yeah.
you're here, like everything I need for is here. It's not
You'll get
crowded.
used to it.
You won't get traffic. You won't get stuck in traffic.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So now that you already completed your 1 year, right? Your one
Mhm.
year Canadian experience. Now, like, tell me more about your AITP. So, what stream did you apply?
So
I know that they
I
know they want to know.
so they say that you need to have contingency plan, but for me, I only have one plan.
Hmm.
The Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. So I actually focus on that one. So I look for employers that are
Listed.
listed under that program and make sure that I'll be hired by those employers. Because one thing is for sure, once you actually secure the job, then it's halfway there. If you didn't finish the program here in Nova Scotia for 2 years, so say for example, if you only took a year in Nova Scotia or a year somewhere else,
Hmm.
in order for you to apply for the permanent residency under Atlantic Immigration Program, you need to secure 1,560 hours of that
I know
B,
NOC A,
A,
B,
B, and
zero,
C.
and including C.
C, including C. So, so take for example, if you already work with that employer while you're still a student for a year. So say for example, because 1,560 hours is equivalent to 30 hours a week in 1 year.
Hmm.
So if you took if you actually are working in that employer while you're still a student and secure 20 hours a week, so probably you would after you finish your program, you actually have 600 hours, roughly 600 hours
Mhm.
on that employer. So you're just going to secure 1000 hours
Yeah.
under postgraduate work permit on that certain employer, then you
Yeah.
can submit your application.
And then like I know that you had to extend your work permit, remember? Like you
Mhm.
were in close you're still in close work permit because now that you
Actually,
already applied for PR.
that is optional.
Mhm.
That is optional. But in my case, since I didn't work in that employer before coming here, so I need
Yeah.
to secure 1,560 hours with them. So that's exactly 1 year from the moment that my postgraduate work permit, and then another extra. And then part of the Atlantic Immigration Program is to apply for a close work permit under that employer
Employer.
while processing your permanent residency. Because even if you submitted your permanent residency and under implied status, you don't have any legal papers that would allow you to work. That is why that employer should apply for your
Was it
working permit.
easy? Was it
Yes,
easy?
it was easy. It is easy because um, it is just a small restaurant, so I'm a food
Mm.
supervisor. So
Mhm.
it's not a really big restaurant, and I keep in touch personally with the owner. So the owner is the one who's actually processing in my behalf.
But you know what? I feel like it's easy if you are working in a medium or small business
True.
because it's
Yeah,
easy for you
because
to get what you want, like what document do you need.
mhm,
You know,
agree.
they will
So that
help you
most
through all your
so guys,
PR.
most of the listed employers are food and beverage industry.
Hmm.
So the reason why it's actually also one of the points that you need to take into consideration once you work in restaurants, sometimes when you work there, your meal is included.
Hmm.
So that is also another savings for you in a week. Say, for example, if you're working for like 2 or 3 days with them, your meal is already included. So that's already 3 days off of your 7 days to think of for the food, for your
Also, that's why
consumption.
you kind of gain weight.
Yeah, yeah, I gained weight here in Canada.
Yeah. So now that you're still in close work permit, right?
hmm
And you just recently applied for your PR.
I
What was
applied
your
March 1st.
struggle?
There was no struggle actually.
No, you were telling me about your police clearance, right?
Yeah. So good thing that before I left Dubai, okay, this is for you guys that are in the Middle East.
Mm.
Before you leave that specific country where you're coming from, secure a clearance from a police, from your bank or whatnot, because it would be really hard for you.
There is a validity, right?
Yeah, the thing is, if when I actually got the list of requirements for the Atlantic Immigration Program, police clearance from the country where you stayed for more than 6 months is might be needed. But the thing is, you can actually submit the latest one before you leave, before you left that country, and just have a supporting letter saying that I haven't got back to that country after I left, and this is the latest police clearance I
Oh, so
have.
I can still use what I
Yes,
submitted.
I mean
So
like
I still
I
have
mean
that.
technically yes, but make sure that you have but you are still required to get an NBI because that is
Yeah,
your country.
yeah.
So at least the latest NBI and whatever country you came from, at least you have the latest one from the time you left, and that is what I just submit.
So now you're hoping to get your PR pretty soon. When is the expected date of like, it's gonna
It
be like
depends
6 months, right?
on the situation. It depends
Okay.
on the situation. But I'm already at peace right now. I mean, I'm at ease right now that my permanent residency is submitted.
Yeah, because they
Most
just
especially
increased the
knowing
charge.
that they increased this charge, and I was able to save like $600. Have I not
Yeah, that's a
submitted it on
lot.
time? So yeah.
Yeah. What's your final word to all our aspiring students?
So on for aspiring students, what I actually can tell you is if you still don't have the exact means to at least pay a year for school, then don't push coming to Canada yet.
Mhm.
Patience is a virtue, and that would pay off because if you come here and you really push on coming here and you still don't have enough means, you would be drowning. Imagine for us that already have the
The
means,
savings, yeah.
we still need to work like two or three jobs. How much more for you? I come across some of the people who would say, "Oh, I have relatives in
Yeah.
Alberta, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
Here's my 2 cents to that. I mean, yeah, there's a convenience of having a
Free
family
accommodation.
relative, but they actually won't be able to help you on your permanent residency application formal. I mean, like itself. Maybe some points, but if they're not your sister or whatnot, move here to Atlantic, and then once you get your permanent residency, reunite with them.
Yeah. Yeah. You can always move.
Yeah, you can always move.
Yeah.
So make sure you need to focus first on what is essential and what's needed on the first place. So sacrifice first, save more. Don't push coming here if you don't have the means,
Hmm.
and study.
And save. Thank you again. I'll see you soon here in BC. And also, you're going to let us know once you get your PR.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Thank you again, Dexter. We'll see you
Bye.
soon.
See ya.
Bye. So if you like this video, again, hit that like button. And if you have any suggestions, just tell me, leave it here in my video. And I'll see you to the next one, guys. Bye.